Hello and welcome to the course Launch Your Podcast, the beginner's guide to podcasting. I remain Samuel Adire, aka 7, the chief troublemaker at Podlove, and your guide for this course. In today's module 5, we will be taking a look at the top 10 tips for recording high quality podcast. And at the end of this module, I just want you to be able to do one single thing, and that single thing is to record a high quality podcast. That's the essence of the module today. Now, my very first tip is to make sure you eat recording. Now, as trivial as this sound, trust me, it saves lives. It's a complete lifesaver. I cannot begin to talk to you, share with you stories of interviews I've conducted and I've forgotten to hit play. Oh my goodness, they are really embarrassing. I got so unlucky one time like that, and the guest wouldn't even grant me the interview anymore because, of course, she had to run for another meeting. So you want to always make sure that you hit that record button. Make sure, as small as it sounds, each record. If you're recording into Audacity, make sure that bar is flowing. If you're using a recorder or your phone, make sure that it is recording. And after recording your whole episode, you don't want to shut Audacity down, or you don't want to be in a situation where your battery is halfway, or your battery dies during the course of the interview. Audacity will not automatically save it for you. So make sure you hit save. Make sure you have enough battery on your laptop if you're recording with your laptop, or your phone if you're recording with your phone. And once you're done saving, keep multiple versions of your recording. Once you save, make sure you move it to your hard drive. If you're not going to edit it and publish it immediately, move it to your hard drive so that if something ever happens to your laptop. Now, I've met a lot of podcasters who either lost their laptop, their hard drive crashed or something, and weeks of work that they've done, recordings that they've saved, all gone just like that. And it can be, it's not so much about you losing those files. It's so much about the frustration that comes with it. And for some people, it just allows them put their podcasting journey on hold, and some never return. So number 1, make sure you hit record. Number 2 is simple. Record in a high resolution audio file. Now, by high resolution file, I mean stuff like WAV format and AIFF format. Now, whenever you have, for people who are not so technical, you have your laptop, you don't know what file different stuff save, different software save their file in. All you need to do is right click and go to the options that pops up when you right click on the file. Go down to the bottom where you see rename, click on rename. Now there are some characters after the dot sign, after the full stop. For example, if you're clicking on an Excel format, it comes like XLS. For some, if it is PDF files, it comes .pdf. If it is Word file, Microsoft Word file, it comes .cod. For most audio, it comes as .mp3. Now that's the file extension, that's the format. So when you're recording and you click on that, or you go to details on the option file and you see, make sure that you're recording in something as such as .wav or AIF for Mac users. Now avoid delivery formats like AMR and MP3. You need to avoid, these are delivery formats. They're formats for delivering audio content. They're not formats for editing audio content. And because of things like compression, artifacts, and low audio quality, you don't want to do your recording as much as possible. Yeah, you might have 1 or 2 clips from here and there in MP3, but as much as possible, make sure you record in WAV format. And that is why I've asked you to go download, in our previous modules, I've asked you to go download Smart Audio Recorder for Android devices and iTalk for iPhones. These apps allow you to record in high resolution format, WAV format, Android device, and I think iTalk also allows you to record in AIF and WAV format. So you need to make sure that you have recording apps that record in this lossless compression format that allows you to produce quality content. Now, there's no need to record when you're going to the settings of all these apps and devices. There's no need for you to go higher than 24 bits. You're not going to produce music. You're not going to do all these high-end documentaries. It's basically your voice and a song in the background. And that song, most times you're going to import it. It's not like you're playing that song into your mic to record it. So just make sure it doesn't go higher than 24 kilo beats and 48 kilohertz, or else it's just going to be so large for you to move around. Our third tip is record in a silent and closed and a small room. Now, I say silent because it helps you minimize background noise. You don't want to be recording in an environment where your listeners can hear your cars driving by, can hear some children making noise from some distance, can hear cock crow, or can even hear your mom shouting you, or your children shouting your name, mommy. That no. That's not for the ears of your listeners. You want to make sure you record in a silent environment. If you can record in your house, try and look for a location around where you can constantly use. You owe your audience that sacrifice. Now, I said smaller because of the acoustic properties of the space you're recording in. Acoustic properties in the sense that our voices are waves. They are wavelengths. They're like soldiers. They march across the whole room. Now, as they hit hard surfaces like your wall, your carpet, your floor, ceramic floors, as it eats all these hard surfaces, it bounces back and creates echo. But if you have soft surfaces like curtain, chairs, foams, rugs, and right now I have some really crazy settings, although it's not taking out all of the hard surfaces, but I have some things like the rug, like the chair, curtailing the effect of this echo. So you want to record in a smaller space, because if you're recording in a smaller space, then you can say you want to put clothes up here, put curtain up there, put foams up there, and then it produces a greater quality for you. Like I said, art and surfaces reflect sounds like mirror reflects light, so you don't want to give your audience that. Now, you want to record in the same space to ensure consistency and continuity. So for this course, continue to record in the sitting room so that you don't notice a distinct difference between module 3 and module 4. And that same goes for your episode. You want to make sure your listeners subconsciously already taking in your environment, that when you smell something for so long, you can't smell it anymore. When you listen to something for so long, you can't even notice the difference in what you're listening to. So for them to internalize the ambience that eventually comes with your podcast, you need to make sure that you're recording in the same spot to ensure consistency and continuity. Of course, this is not rigid. If you don't have any options, you can do some other place. But try as much as possible to keep it in the same space. The fourth tip I have for you is to maintain a constant mouth to microphone distance. Now, this is a thumb rule. The picture you're seeing there, this is you just holding your hands and recording, and actually that's the distance at which I'm recording this episode. If I move too closer to the mic, you can hear me. You probably even hear my lips make all these funny annoying sounds. If I move too farther away, you won't pick me clearly, but if I maintain that distance, I'm pretty sure you can hear me as clearly as you should. Now, it allows people listening to your podcast consistently. I'm pretty sure the few seconds I took out to move my mouth up and down, change positions and all that, you were not really enjoying what I was saying. And when I moved too close, although it produced that depth, it gave me that depth and all of that, but you could hear all of my other annoying mouth movement, which you don't want to take in. Now, headphones are a good way to monitor the sound levels in real time. I know I mentioned in the last module about Audio-Technica ATR and Samsung Q2U. One thing that makes this mic really terrific, aside the fact that it is a USB dynamic microphone that you can connect straight to your laptop, is the fact that it allows you to monitor the sounds that come out of your microphone in real time. Something that my unidirectional mic cannot do. But because over the years, I already practiced how to record, so I already know what position to place my mouth in. It makes it easy for me. But with those kind of phones that you can connect a mic to them directly, you are able to monitor the sound in real time. So it's best if you can get, of course, this microphone works better for me once you're able to keep your mouth at a fairly constant distance. Now, we all have different mouth volume. Let me put it that way. So for me, my mouth volume is high, in quotes. I don't have a technical name for that, but you understand what I'm saying. For some people, it's so silent that they might need to move very close to the mic. So this aside in the thumb rule of just having it with at this distance away from your mouth, this distance away from your mouth, you also want to make sure that you try different recordings. Move your mouth closely. Does it come out great? Move your mouth farther. Does it come out great? At some distance, measure that up and be consistent with what you're choosing. Now, like I said, it comes with practice, and over the years, over the months, you will get better. Tip 5. Use a pop filter or a windscreen. I cannot begin to overemphasize the importance of these little accessories that sometimes come with your mic or not. If you're using a ATR 200, 2100, there are no pop filters. So you need to get a pop filter. For a Samsung Q2U, there are also no pop filters. You need to get, or a windscreen. You need to get a windscreen or a pop filter. What you have in front of you, this diagram here, is a pop filter. It's like some net placed around and held in place with this round circular frame. But for a pop filter, it's a foam, as you've seen in previous models. For the unidirectional condenser microphone I use, Audio F708, it has its own pop filter, so I use it. And like I did in the previous I tried removing my pop filter, they give you some annoying noise. It's best for all microphones to record with a pop filter. It takes out the plosives. The plosives like P, F, sorry, I'm saying that in Yoruba. Like P, F, and G. Words that form with all those P, B, F. Words that form with those words are really they're this gush of wind, and this annoying sounds, this burst of air that comes out when we make those PBF sounds, and they just eat the microphone and create annoying noises for your listeners. So you want to take that out. Now try playing with some recordings with or without the pop filter on your own, with your own microphone or with your own phone. Now I'm going to share you $1 million tip for those who are recording with their phones. So, like I said, a pop filter basically forms on nets that tries and filters out the plosives from your voice. Now, the idea is simple. For you recording on your phone, you want to produce great quality without all those B sounds that are little too annoying and crazy for your listeners to listen to. Get a new pair of cotton socks. Of course, you don't want to use an old man's socks, or else you choke from the smell that comes from it. But get a new cotton, I repeat, cotton socks, soft socks. I don't mean all those Okrika socks. Get cotton socks, all those thick ones. And when you're trying to record, cover your mouthpiece with the socks and speak into it. Try 2 different recordings where you have it covered with the socks and without the socks, and let me know the difference. Yeah, that you should pay me for that. For tip 6, make test recordings. Yes, test recordings, like where you say hello, mic testing 1 2, where you go for weddings or you go for parties, and like maybe you went early and they're still doing all the settings and all of all that. You say hello, mic testing. Exactly, do that for your podcast. You want to make various recordings, because sometimes when you move from location to location, if you have to, you're recording with guests, sometimes there's just some technical glitch that you would not notice until after your recording is done. So you want to make an habit of making test recording first. Always, even for the models I created, I created test recordings. And you also want to listen to your previous episodes for errors and editing errors, for recording errors that you want to improve on. That is a cough you removed last week. You shouldn't cultivate the habit of making that cough in your previous episodes. For some of my completely unscripted podcasts, I said a lot of It's something that worries me, because you don't want to be a better editor. a better user of Audacity. You want to be a better speaker, so that when people call you out to speak at events, they're not saying, "Oh my God, who is this person?" They want to see that confidence. They want to see that fluidity that comes with your speech. And when you're not training yourself to take out all of all these errors during recording, you're not doing yourself any good. So for me, I'm trying to take out the arms, ems, ems, I start playing with that. So let's move on to, and then one last thing, you also want to patch it through friends and family. Let them listen to it. They know you better. Yes, some will give you crazy criticism. Fine, that's live. Take it. Take out the good out of it and make your own podcast better. If anyone tells you podcasting is not for you, you might as well just tell them the speaking is not for them. I'm sorry, but it's just communicating, it's talking to people. I don't know how that has become a talent that some people can't have or some people should have. It comes with training. All about those things you can pick along the line. If you have a great voice and you're not working on it, people will just tell you have a great voice. You're not a good speaker. That you have a great voice doesn't mean you're a good speaker. I don't know why I'm talking fast. But the point is, you need to understand that as long as you can open your mouth and speak and you're not deaf and dumb, nobody should tell you podcasting is not for you if you really want to do it. The seventh tip is to record and export in mono. Now, for a long period of time, even up to the point I thought I knew a lot about podcasting, I didn't know that recording in stereo, I beg your pardon, made for a significantly large download. So try it out. Try these things out if you're doubting too much. Record in mono, record in stereo, and see the difference. It's quite significant. So you want to consider, and you want to consider your audience and of course your hosting bills before you make a leap to stereo. Now, what is stereo? What is mono? When you listen to a song that is recorded in stereo, you can notice a difference in volume level in both ears. So you might, if you listen to great music, not all those ones that they brought down to mono MP3 and uploaded to all these websites where you just download songs from for free illegally. But if you're listening to the studio version, to the premium version, and you're using an headset, you'll be able to hear distinctively each instrumental beat. Some will be louder on the left than on the right. The voice might be coming out, giving you a sense of spatial orientation. It means you feel like you're in the music. You can feel like the drum is eating behind you. That's stereo. Mono, everything on the left ear comes out the same on the right ear. Now, you're not recording a music for crying out loud. You're recording podcast. The most important thing is the message, and the message should be brought out clearly. That's what your audience need. If you can add all of all those other things, but it shouldn't come at the expense of what you can achieve or what you can and can afford. So record in mono. Record in mono, export in mono. Of course, when you're exporting Audacity, when we talk later on, you should export in WAV format. And then when you're doing your converting, you can convert to mono. The 8 tips, you can see in scissors here. I'm about to cut a lot of things out. Cut it out. Minimize the fluffs. Of course, this is one terrific rule I learned from Pat Flynn, the father. I call him the father of podcast branding. Man, you should go to that guy's website. It's always an inspiration. If you're a fan of branding, colors, layouts, all about that, he is top on that, and he does this thing very well. So one rule, one tip he shared is always minimize the flurbs. I mean, all those portions of your recordings that are irrelevant to your podcast title. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't talk about yourself from time to time, because these are the things that make your podcast content real. Share your weaknesses relating to that topic. So you can't be talking about gifting and you're talking about, I don't know, I can't think of anything, but I can't think of anything irrelevant to topics right now. But of course, you want to make sure that you're cutting your flaws down. If you leave it and you say you take it out during editing, it's a whole lot of work. If you leave it, it's just going to be annoying to your listeners. It's a waste of time for your listeners and in terms of their time and resources. And editing a script is much more easier. Why did I say easier? It's much more easier than editing audio. So why don't you outline it? I'm not saying you should overly script where you say everything word for word and you don't allow your authenticity to show forth. But scripted, like have an outline. This is what I want to say. This is the amount of time I want to spend on each of this segment. And try and stick with it. Of course, bring in your creativity, but when you're even going to deviate from it, you're not just going to go far away like someone leaving Lagos for Australia. And lastly, cultivate the habit of writing base questions for your interviews. Now, I know people who want to do interviews and just talk and talk. Your base questions are not for you to strictly follow them. Your base questions are just to give you a sense of direction. If you head into most of your interviews just saying, "Oh, we'll just talk it out," you would end up your guest, which is most likely not going to be his first time for doing interviews, especially if you're dealing with politicians, will end up taking you away from the essence, from the true essence. They will end up controlling that interview, giving you what they want to give you and not what your audience needs to listen to. Moving to the 9th episode, you want to use royalty-free music or sounds. So what are royalty-free music? They refer to the right to use copyrighted material or intellectual property without the need to pay royalty or license fees for each use or per volume sold or some time period of sale. So these are songs that people give you the license to use them to they give you the license to use them because you're paying them. For some, it is free. For free royalty free music, I call it that way, these are ones that just give you the license. There's some who will say if you're not using it for commercial purposes, you can use them. There's some where you have to pay them some amount of money because of course this is their legal work, this is their time, this is their effort. You don't want to rip that off them. So someone coincidentally sent me a message today, was like, "I need your help. I need you to help me rip out a background song from an audio." I've not even had time to reply him because I don't want to be too harsh. But the point is, why do you want to rip someone else's song from? Do you have the permission? Is it royalty free? So you don't want to go down playing some musician's song because it's your favorite song, except if you have permission from them to do that. So try as much as possible to use royalty-free songs, and you can get them from Smart Sounds, Audio Blocks, Free Music, Stock, Bensound, Free Music Archive. You can get them from all those platforms, or you could just Google. There's so many of them, and you want to make sure you read their terms and conditions of use before you take them off these websites. So you could just Google free royalty-free music downloads, and you see tons of websites to download music from or sounds from, but you want to make sure that you have the permission to use it and read their terms and conditions of use because they are varied before, so you don't violate something that comes back at you later on. The last tip is avoid too much editing. Now, when I was launching out as a podcaster, this was one thing that, man, I just wanted it to be perfect. So I would strain and zoom into the sound waves, cut out all those little bits and all that. I can even try, although I do that, to be honest with you, I do some of that now, but I'm always conscious of the fact that too much editing is just a waste of time. Too much of anything is bad, or the word that says too many cooks spoil the broth. Of course, you don't want to edit your podcast too much. It's just time wasting. It's a waste of time because at the end of the day, it's your message they need to listen to. So spend your time and effort in improving your recording so that you don't have to spend. I always say 1 second of mistake or error in recording can be amplified to 30 minutes of editing. Trust me, you would see it for yourself. It would amplify to 30 minutes. So the end result sometimes is always undesirable when you compress, amplify, level, do all those things, use all of the effects on Audacity. At the end of the day, you create an uninviting and artificial sound that's not natural to the ears of a listener. You don't want to go into all that. And besides, you don't even know how these tools are going to be really applied. You're not a professional sound user where you know how to gauge all those meaning things and combine all those effects together so they balance out. You don't want to go into too much recording. And that brings us to the end of this module. Yes, congratulations to you coming this far. This is halfway through our lecture. Like I always say, podcasting is not the problem. You can launch your podcast like yesterday. You can launch your podcast after reading a blog on how to podcast. But they require a number of little bits, tiny details that, of course they will pop up, but because they've spent so much time into helping you understand all those things beforehand, you can quickly grow in your podcasting journey. So time you should spend promoting or doing other things around branding. You're not spending it on smaller details. I spent about 2 years learning all these things. You don't need to make all of all those mistakes. Some you need to make on your own, but you don't need to make all about this mistake. So congratulations to you for sticking this far. And of course, I can't let you go without you doing something. Come on, I've been talking all day. Are you just going to stand up and walk away and do something else? No. So just sit back right there and take over your assignments. So this is what I need you to do today. Record a 10 to 15 minutes audio talking about your new show and what you hope to achieve with it. Save this recording for next class. It's going to be very important for next class. So you want to make sure you're doing it right now. Don't care. Don't give a damn about the recordings, and don't think you're paralyzed. Just do it. Like Nike says. And if you're willing, you could send me your audio recording, your questions, your suggestions, your criticism, whatever. Send it to me at samueladeoye@podlove.com. I will be waiting for that mail. In the next module 6, lecture 1, we will be discussing recording your podcast with Audacity. Yeah. I remain Samuel Adeoye, the chief troublemaker at Podlove, and this is me saying bye for now. I'll see you in the next module.